Hey everybody, welcome to the Joe Morley Sports Show. I am Joe Morley, and today I have a special guest, David from the Gridiron Gods. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well. It's good to be on.
Now, if you guys don't know him, he does fantasy advice. He does football advice. Basically, anything about the game of football you can learn from David and the guys over there at Gridiron Gods. Uh, David, you want to give us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So at Gridiron Gods, it's myself, Lucas, and Dante. There's the three of us. We collab on everything that we do. And if we do kind of have like a little bit of variance in opinion, which three guys usually do, we'll put our name to what we're putting out just to kind of make it so everybody knows who's really on what side of what conversation. But yeah, we've been around since the Super Bowl this year. And we're just trying to grow our brand and get out there and get involved on all the social media platforms. You can get us on Instagram. You can go check out our YouTube channel. We're on Twitter, and we just kind of got going on TikTok.
Oh, on TikTok, so TikTok, it's an interesting followers over there.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's a lot different. It's a different vibe than the Instagram crowd that I'm used to.
Yeah, I mean, I follow TikTok, so I'm gonna have to go and find you guys on there. But I always get stuck like just watching random videos
Oh
on
yeah,
TikTok.
I get lost in it all the time. It's deadly like that.
So behind you, I can see those jerseys. So I'm gonna assume that you're a Giants fan.
I am a Giants
You
fan.
got the old school Plexico Burris.
Yeah, Plexico, a little controversial, but I mean, it's a cool jersey, so why not? But yeah, big Giants fan. I love that they always beat the Pats in Super Bowls. That's just kind of like my thing. I have a lot of friends that are Pats fans, so it's the one thing that I can kind of hold against them. And like, I know we don't have as many Super Bowls, but we did beat you guys twice, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and you stopped that undefeated season, which was
Yeah, it can't get much better than that. We're going in a little bit of a different direction now. I know we're kind of in that rebuild, so hoping for good things in 2020. Obviously, Saquon, happy that we have him in our backfield. Looking forward to what Danny Dimes can do out there. I think he's going to grow in year two, and hopefully we just get one of these receivers to kind of step up and be the guy this year.
Are you happy about Jason Garrett coming in and being the offense coordinator?
I'm happy from the perspective of Zeke thrived with him as the OC, and now with a similar style in back. I mean, Saquon a little bit different than Zeke, obviously, but I think it's going to benefit Saquon tremendously having him come in and take over that offense and hopefully expand it a little bit because Dallas has always been strong on that side of the ball. So see what Jason Garrett can get done in New York.
See, I've always been high on Barkley. Everybody's high on Barkley. It doesn't matter where, but this year it's always been that conversation: Barkley or CMC, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Barkley all the time. That's just me. And
Yeah.
people might say you're biased because you're a Giants fan, but I'm buying it
So
too.
I'll give you – I'm the opposite side. I got the jersey
Oh,
hanging behind me, but I know he went 1,000 and 1,000 last year in receiving and rushing. It's unlikely he hits that again. I have him locked up in 2 dynasty leagues right now, and I have literally texts every day asking if I want to trade him. I could probably get quite the haul for him, but I like what Carolina did, bringing in Joe Brady from LSU, Matt Rule as well. I just think that offense is going to be a little bit better in Carolina, so I'm not too worried about CMC, but I see the upside on Barkley. I'm not against that at all.
yeah. And anything would benefit your team, you'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. For
Well,
real.
you guys have a post up there about LaDainian Tomlinson, and I have basically like a little sweet thoughts for LaDainian Tomlinson because I actually met him in person and thought he was actually a really cool guy. So you were talking about a single season rushing record of 28 touchdowns, and you were
Yep.
asking people, do you think that any rusher has a chance of beating that? And I know I went on there and I talked to you and I said no because the running back by committee is like big in the NFL now. So do
Yeah.
you actually think that there will be somebody?
I don't, not this year. The guy that I would kind of lean towards, like if I'm gonna be a betting man and put something on it, I would lean towards Derrick Henry only because if he gets a lot of goal line type of opportunities and they get stopped inside the 5 a lot this year and he punches it in, I think that's the only real chance anybody has, is if they get a lot of those kind of touches. But I think it's safe for another year in 2020, that record.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about Derrick Henry when we were talking about it yesterday, but yeah. Yeah, because Vrabel's more of an old school kind of guy. He's more of the, hey, we're on the 2-yard line, let's do it. It's not gonna do that Pete Carroll stuff.
Absolutely. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And not in that situation either. But I mean, other than Henry, I would look at Zeke and maybe Barkley, but I don't see anybody getting the touches that LT had that season. Like you said, the committee approach nowadays, it's very unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, we could see that record stand for a while, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it's been since 2006, so we're going into decade 2. We're in decade 2 of that. So I don't think it's going down this year.
No, not this year. I saw another thing, and this been a conversation with a lot of people. I even saw him working out with Russell Wilson yesterday. Antonio Brown. Do you actually see him signing with the team this year?
I do. I know it's like one of those things, like I'm saying yes, someone's gonna come at me and be like, you're totally wrong on that, and fair is fair, right? But I think he has the talent. He's still like 30. I think he's 32 years old, so age-wise, he's still he's not over the hill, I would say. And he had an incredible season the last time he played a full one. And there's teams that need a receiver, so I think if they can get him in, talk to him a little bit, maybe see where his head's at right now. I think he'll wind up on a team, and I think Seattle would be it would be a good situation for him. I don't know how good it would be for that receivers room with Lockett and Metcalf. I think it would be kind of loaded, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, see, as a Raider fan, I kind of got that bad taste from him last year, and I think it would have been. I think having him in a John Gruden's offense would have been amazing, and I think he kind of ruined that.
Yeah.
But the more I see, it's like, who hasn't he worked out with this offseason? It's like there's always a new video of him working out with Lamar Jackson, working out with this guy, working out with that guy. So I think it's only a matter of time until he signs with somebody. I know they keep throwing out the Tom Brady wants him in Tampa Bay, but I don't see that going. But the team that I could see him with is the Ravens, just because of the family relationship with Hollywood Brown, and they seem to be able to take high character guys and calm them down a little bit, and still, but it's still tough. I think teams are still iffy about him. Just he's staying off the social media as right now, but when one thing goes wrong, you never know if it's going to pop back up.
Yeah, it's about what happens to AB in the limelight. That's, I think, the biggest situation is he's cool now. He hasn't made much noise like you said. And I'm with you with the Ravens. I think that would be the best fit for him, because there's really no clear-cut wide receiver 2 there that's really making a huge impact, that he's going to kind of come in. Like, if he goes to Tampa, he's stepping on toes. If he goes to Seattle, it seems like he's going to be stepping on toes. And I think he's got to go somewhere where he's going to get the targets. And I think, Baltimore's the spot.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. So another thing I saw, and you do this a lot. You've done this with every division. You guys over there you guys do the over unders and the pick'ems.
Yep.
And the one I wanted to hit you up with was the AFC South. With you guys have the Colts as the 9 wins, over under 9 wins, and that actually put them at the top of that list. Do you keep that list, or is that just something that you were throwing out there to see?
So one thing about that list is, believe it or not, I didn't make those odds. Those are Odd Sharks odds, and I was surprised. I'm surprised. I think you're surprised by it, but I couldn't believe that the Colts were ahead of the Titans in that division. I don't think the Colts should be favored in that division with a higher win over under total. I don't think. I think they will hit that 10-win mark. I think it's a fair estimation, but I think they're really sleeping on the Titans. I think the Titans might be able to hit 11, 12 wins this year. So yeah, that's kind of like my thought on that.
See, I'm opposite of you. I when you put the 9 wins, you had them at the top. I actually have in my predictions, I have the Colts winning that division at 10-6. I'm not. The reason is, I mean, I know everybody's high on the Titans of what they did last year, but I think Tannehill takes that step back, and people are forgetting what he did in Miami to get to come over to Tennessee, and he only did it for a little half a season, but he was good for he was good for the half a season, and then Derrick Henry. I mean, I know they have AJ Brown and that, but how many times are they going to stack that box this year and try? I mean, Derrick Henry, it don't matter. You can stack the box against him, he's still going to get it. But I don't. I just think they take a little bit step back.
That's totally fair. I think I won't be surprised if the Colts do take that division, just with that O-line that they have now, the backfield that they've kind of put together, and T.Y.'s coming back, right? So you have a guy coming in who likes to sling it in Rivers, and I don't think that's totally a possibility. To me, in that division, those two teams, I'll call it a coin flip. I'm very torn on that division specifically, because the only advantage I'll give to Tennessee is they kind of got to get to know each other a little bit more in Indianapolis. So Rivers has got to come in. You got Jonathan Taylor coming in. And this is a weird off season, right? Like it's not the same as every other year. It's not as easy for guys to work out. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Is it crazy to talk about that division and not even mention the Texans? Like,
yeah, it is.
That's how far they've basically fallen in this offseason in people's eyes.
It is strange. And the biggest concern to me for that team is who's going to be their – I mean, if I'm looking at it fantasy-wise or if I'm looking at it just plain old football, who's going to step up and be that number one guy? Because you got Fuller and Cooks and injury concern for both of them. So I'm not worried about Deshaun. I'm more worried about the parts around Deshaun, I guess, is my concern with that team.
Yeah, it's like they have some fragile, to say it nicely, wide receivers.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And then Johnson in the backfield. I mean, if he can play like he did early in the year last year for Arizona, I think he can easily be 1,000-yard back. And I think people can kind of get off of his back in that sense about, like, where did this guy go? But yeah, it's a big question mark with that franchise right now.
It's funny you brought up David Johnson, because if I can get him like 4th or 5th round in a fantasy draft, I think I might take that chance because of how good the potential he has. And you saw what they did with Carlos Hyde last year and stuff like that. So I mean, Would you take a flyer on David Johnson somewhere in the fantasy draft?
Absolutely. I absolutely would. And the main reason is because his volume is going to be really going to be a lot of it on him. I know Duke Johnson's there, but last year Hyde took over the duties and he ran for over 1,000. So if you're looking, if David Johnson falls to the 5th round, I'm stepping up and I'm going to take him in that spot.
Yeah, and you'll be hey, thank you guys. Thank you for letting me take this top guy.
I will be excited because the way I look at it is just the volume that he should get. It would justify the pick for me heavily. So I'm with that.
Yeah. And speaking about fantasy football, I'm going to throw 2 names at you. You tell me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what round they would be in. Just the 2 names. If you were on the board and these 2 guys were there, you tell me which one out of those 2 you would take.
Okay.
So the first one is Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon.
Ooh, that is unbelievable. I love both those guys. Wow. This is like one of those things where I would probably sit here and think for a few hours about that, but I will roll with Josh Jacobs. Reason being, he was hurt for a good part of that season last year with that shoulder injury, and he balled out. And I think he has a higher ceiling in comparison to Mixon. Mixon's kind of been in that 1,000, 1,100 yard range. I do think they're going to lean on him heavily in Cincinnati with a rookie quarterback. So he'll get his share too. But I like Jacobs' situation just a little bit better. That offense runs through him currently, like it's already kind of his show, and they're going to use him even more. So I'm rolling with Jacobs in that spot. It's a tough pick. That's a really tough pick.
Yeah, I didn't say it was going to be easy. There's that one right there. It gets to me too, and that's why I asked you, because I would always it's those, because Mixon came on. He was hurt last year too, as well as Jacobs, but he came on towards the end of the year, and they started using him correctly. And then Jacobs, the potential, and just to see, what that offense in Vegas is upgraded to.
Yeah,
I think both of them. I mean, I would have no problem taking both of them in the first round of a fantasy draft.
absolutely. I'm thinking if you're the 7th to 12th pick and they're available in any of those spots, I'm a receiver or a running back first kind of guy in my drafting strategies. So if there's one of those guys available and you're looking at like maybe a Julio, Tyreek Hill, or Devontae Adams, if he falls that late in the first round too, I'm going with either one of those two guys.
Sounds good. I'll give you another. This one might not be as hard, but I think it kind of is. Julio Jones and Mike Evans.
Julio Jones. I'm a lot quicker on that one. Julio Jones, because we kind of know what's going to happen in Atlanta. His volume is going to be A1 on that team. Yes, Calvin Ridley is kind of making – I mean, he's no surprise anymore. He's a solid wide receiver too. But Julio he's gonna go out and ball. The only concern with him is his touchdowns year to year, but he's gonna get you the yards. And then when you look at the other side of the fence, I'm not sure what Evans is gonna get in terms of volume yet, and who Brady is gonna favor. So that's kind of how I feel about that one.
Yeah, Mike Evans has been – him and Godwin have been a big topic in the fantasy world this offseason. So a lot of people are still trying to see where they should go with it, which one they should do. So that's why I threw that one out. But I'm with you. I'm a big Julio believer, and for some reason in the fantasy world, the last two years, people have dropped off on him, and he's been to I've seen him drop to the end of the second round sometimes. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean – funny that we bring up Mike Evans too, because I actually traded him in a dynasty league. Pretty huge deal earlier this off season. I packaged him and Dalvin Cook for Kamara. No, sorry, not Dalvin Cook. I packaged Nick Chubb and Mike Evans for Alvin Kamara and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp and Kamara coming my way. And biggest reason was both Chubb and Evans. I'm worried about their situations. You got Hunt coming in, and he impacted Chubb heavily last year, so I'm not really too high on him this year. But then with Evans, you brought it up. Godwin is definitely – I think he's more of a Brady-friendly receiver at this point in his career, being able to kind of work the slot a little bit more than Evans will. Evans, to me, because I had him, I've always been concerned if he doesn't get those big chunk plays, he's not going to put out the yards like a Chris Godwin might.
Yeah, that's fair, and that I think that trade was pretty good. It's pretty even. It's not like you said. It's your perspective. Yeah, and I always tell people I'm a big trader. I like to trade in fantasy football, and that's just me. But not to believe in the names, not to get stuck on names, and just if you don't believe in the guy anymore, or if you believe in somebody else, then you got to overpay or you got to underpay, or get rid of a guy for less than his value a little bit. Then you go for it. I mean, it's what your gut feeling is in fantasy football, and that's what you got to go with.
100%. I'm in that Bruce Arians mindset. If you got to risk it for the biscuit, if you don't make moves, you're unlikely to win your league. It's just plain and simple. Not many guys that I know say that they win their league on draft day. It's usually free agents and trades and things along that line. So yeah, I like the aggressive mindset.
See, I got last year I started 0-4 in my league, and I was like, I have to trade, and I ended up trading Lamar Jackson, and people were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, the haul that I'll get back from him, I understand Lamar Jackson, but what I can get back to him to get my team into the playoffs, and that's what it means in fantasy football, just make the playoffs.
Make it.
And, I turned my team around, made the playoffs, and then I'm like, okay, I ended up losing to the team that had Lamar Jackson, but I did turn my team around, which I didn't want to go 0-10 or whatever just because I have one great player.
Exactly. I started poorly in all my leagues last year. I think I was at least 0-2 in 2 of them and possibly 1-3 as well in another 2, and ended up making the playoffs in both of those. And it's just about making the adjustments. I look at it as if you can get through the first month of the season and if you get at least one win, don't panic too much. The adjustments can kind of be made, and it's a long grind. As long as, like you said, if you can get into the fantasy football playoffs, no big deal. You got a shot.
Yep, there you go. I'll throw one more at you. Leonard Fournette or Aaron Jones?
I like Leonard Fournette because of the contract that he's going to be running for. I mean, Jones as well. But Jones had an insane amount of touchdowns last year. Those 19 touchdowns probably come down to 10 to 13 range. And then Leonard Fournette had only 3 touchdowns last year. And I think that's going to come up to the 8 to 10 range. So I'm leaning towards Fournette just because his situation is a little murky for him. He knows he's got to ball out this year to go and get that next contract. Even though in Green Bay they generally don't pay their running back, so Jones possibly could be on the move as well. But I think they're going to lean on him pretty heavily, even with Minshew now as the guy. You got a young quarterback, so I like running backs with young quarterbacks just because they tend to lean on them a lot.
Yeah, and Fournette gets he got 96% of the carries last year in Jacksonville. Compared, I think Aaron Jones only got like 60%. So I think I'm with you. I think I'm with the Fournette. I'm not happy about it. I wouldn't be happy with those two as like my number one guy. I would hope I have somebody else on the roster with them. But I would be.
I agree. I agree with that. They're definitely not like guys who I'm targeting and being hopeful to get in the first round, early second round. Second round, it's okay, but like. I really wouldn't be too happy in the late first round with that. But if I'm picking between the two, yeah, it's going to be Lenny.
Well, let me end the interview with this question since you're a Giants fan.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Dimes is now taking over. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
I get this so much. Yes, Eli, and it's not going to be a biased, oh, he's got the 2 rings, whatever. He's got the 2 rings, but they're against the GOAT. So for me, the win-loss record is what gets a lot of people because it's not eye-popping at all. But for him to be the franchise guy there, to play consistently, he was an Iron Man when he played. Like, he barely missed any time until they sat him, basically. Only thing that I really didn't like with Eli was he kind of kept playing when I think he should have hung him up for about 3 years. And – that's a whole different side of the story, but I'm with Eli getting into the Hall of Fame based on the resume that he has.
See, I would agree. I think he should be in there. I think there's a lot worse players in the Hall of Fame already. That I mean, every player it takes that skill to be the Hall of Fame. And I don't want to downgrade it a little bit, but we all know that there's always one player that makes it, and you kind of scratch your head. But Eli Manning, I could actually, like you said, you could actually justify him being in there.
Yeah, there's too many big moments in that franchise's history that they can't, even NFL history, like you can't talk about Tom Brady's Super Bowl record if you don't bring up Eli Manning's Super Bowl wins, right? So, and I like Tom. I'm not hating on Tom.
You're not like all the other NFL fans.
No, I'll give Tom respect any day of the week. I used to when I was younger. I couldn't stand him. That's probably why I'm a Giants fan. But I'll give him his due.
All right, David. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You want to give everybody your information again so they could find out?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok now. And you can get us at Gridiron Gods. So appreciate it, man. It was really fun doing the show with you.
Well, I appreciate it. We're gonna have to get together more often. If the season starts, hopefully the season does start. We'll get there and we'll do more. But David from the Gridiron Gods, I appreciate you coming on. And for you guys going to look for his information, I'll post it below and I'll post it at the end of this video. You can all find him and you guys can go follow him and see all the new stuff that he's doing, and even his TikTok videos. That's what I'm going to go look for when I get off here. Well, I appreciate it, David. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, Joe.